Cool. I think we got everyone back. All right, I hope that wasn't too painful. You know what I'm going to do? I feel like doing another poll just to get a feel. All right, so I'm just going to shoot out a little poll. Just tell me how you're feeling after the lab. I jumped in, helped a little bit, and you know, there were some things that seem I'm not going to say basic, you know, just seem like things that were overlooked, things that you learned, an error that you saw, and might have been like, what? Why is this happening? And being able to read the error messages. So, you know, with that being said, I want to kind of emphasize when we do hit errors, it's a good thing. Like, pay even closer attention sometimes when I hit an error, because hitting the error will then help us discover or get through some sort of issue that we won't want to hit again, and we'll know how to troubleshoot it. All right, so we got a bunch of 6 confused, 15, 3. All right, you know, some of the stuff, once again, I have to, you know, read into it like a bit confused. It could be like, I don't know, did you make it all the way to Fibonacci sequence and that's where you got confused? Was it just strings? Was that where you got confused? There's different, you know, levels of confusion when it comes to it. So, cool. So let's do this. I'm going to Slack out the next lecture. Not that I want to ignore like anyone that was confused, but I need to get through the lecture so we can assign the second lab. Yeah.
The links that you keep posting are to the Stan Lee versus the...
Oh, okay. Oh, the one that I just posted, is that? That is Stan Lee.
Yeah, Stan Lee.
I thought let me delete that. Hold on one second. Because I have it open right now. I'm going to copy it over.
Yeah, like
there we go.
All of the last ones that you sent.
Yeah, I noticed. I apologize for that. Yeah, I don't know. I thought I closed it on the screen. That was their previous cohort. Thanks for pointing that out, Kristen. Awesome. All right, here we go. Here we go, right? So, I mean, your terminal should still be in student examples, or you were in the labs, wherever you were. So I'm gonna touch a file now. Touch, array, practice, right? I'm in obviously the instructors folder. Now I can see instructors here, but I can also say PWD, and that would show me the full path to where I am. So if you're ever confused, and maybe obviously there's going to be instructor examples folders in every day, right? So there might be a time I'm in the wrong day. So I can always just do this to indicate, hey, this is week 1, day 3. Makes it easy to kind of distinguish that. So let's cover here what we're looking to achieve. Describe what is an array, right? Declare an empty array. Check the type of an array. So type of is a kind of a keyword that we can use to check the value of a data type to see if it, you know, is it a string, is it a number, is it an object? You'll see that type of array returns back an object and not an array, but we'll see that. Access the array elements. That's important. Think of a list of things. How do I access something in the list of things, right? The length method in array is used quite often. It's one of the most used properties in an array. Change the elements in array, use expressions to access elements, use the math methods to get integers for accessing array elements, access each element of the array within a loop. That's also where you start to spend most of your time in arrays. If I have a collection of things, there's a good chance that I need to like loop over the collection of things to do something with each element in that array. And there's like 4 solid array looping methods that you'll have to master. Things like for each, map, filter, and reduce. 4 of them. And we will be covering those. I don't know if this lecture, but we'll definitely be covering those. Use arrays inside conditional statements. Use array methods and research more methods on their own. That's a pretty cool, fun activity. You get to like find something, discover new array methods, because there's a lot of them. Use expressions with the square brackets to gain, to access elements, and then access elements in a multi-dimensional array, right? Remember when I think at the very beginning in the morning, I was like, one of the coding challenges I got was flatten an array. So an array that has an array that could potentially have an array that could also potentially have an array. And when you get into that, that's multi-dimensional, right? You can keep going down. So let's take a look. What is an array? So I have my little array practice, right? Awesome. I'm actually thinking about, okay, now this whole going back and forth just kind of annoys me. There's different techniques to teaching the lectures, and there's times I almost sometimes, not saying all the time, but there's times when I'm teaching, I use this thing called a REPL. Has anyone used code pens out there? Sometimes I use REPLs because REPLs allow me to write code, and then I can just copy and paste it later, to be quite honest. And this REPL will allow me to like write the code, run it, and then I can see the output over here. It's just easier than me typing it into a file and then going node, run it, clearing the console. Like, it's a very tedious process. So, just for the sake of it, I don't want to like change up things too much, but once again, exposing you to something else I don't think is going to be that bad. So I'm going to say week 1, day 3, arrays lecture. Okay. I'll Slack this out. I want to kind of give this a test run. Okay. This little REPL. If you don't have an account on REPL, you can just sign up for one. It's a free tool. I use it a lot in the evening JavaScript classes, in the Feud classes. Sometimes when I'm teaching SEI, I also use it. Some instructors tend to use local files, and those local files are good. Use Node to push it up. There are just times I feel so tedious having to like run Node all the time when I can just hit a button here instead of having to type Node in the name of the thing. So I'll just give you a moment. Once again, I'm not going to say I'm going to use this all the time, and any code that I will take here, I will put into the other file. Okay. But also, one thing at this stage with REPLs allows you to also, like, now that you have a copy of it, if I save this, you should be able to like reopen it and see the changes. Cool? All right. So, once again, I'm not trying to shake things up too much. Let me open up the lecture here. All right, so here we go. Well, right here, and then right here, right? So I really only need kind of these 2 things now. I don't really need the console underneath, because now I got the console right here. I think I may be able to put the console underneath or open it in a new tab, but we'll just leave it here. Cool. So I'm going to get started. Let's do this. I was just pasting one of the questions that was asked in the student Slack channel, and I pasted it here, confirmed that it worked, responded. Just want to make sure I confirm that it works also. So, all right. So we're going to declare an empty array, right? So now you're going to see something like const, and you're going to be like, wait, why is he using const, right? Const means I can't change the value of the thing, right? And you are correct. I cannot change the array variable to be anything else but this array variable, right? This array. Can't be anything else. That being said, I can mutate the array without changing the array. You get it? It's still the same array, never did anything to the array, but add and remove things. Okay, so in this instance, when it comes to arrays, we can use consts as long as we're not trying to redefine that array. So once again, if I did do that, I can't do this. Array is equal to, can I do this? No. Assign to a const variable. Get an error. I can't do that. It won't let me do that. Or I can't do array is equal to the number 2. Same thing. I'm going to get the same error, right? But you will see that we can add things to the array, and that won't affect anything. So here we have this. That's just an empty array, right? Easy enough. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to create another const. We'll call it list. And I'm just going to add some elements into the array. And I'm going to kind of reference that as like elements. I'm adding these things. These things that I'm going to add are going to be one of the 5, 6, 7 data types, right? Strings, numbers, booleans, nan, undefined, arrays, and objects. So I like to consider arrays as the most basic. Arrays are the most basic type of containers. They allow us to contain things. They could be anything. You'll see later when we get to objects. Objects are kind of containers, but they're a container for properties, key values, and arrays are just like this generic thing. Hey, throw whatever you want inside the box, okay? I always like to compare an array to a box. It's just a box. It can contain things that are related to one another, like ornaments or Valentine's Day things, or it can be something like when you're moving. I actually just taught this lecture last night, and the comparison that I gave was when you're moving from one place to the next, one apartment to the next, or to a new home. I forgot who is moving into the new house. You pack your stuff, right? Hey, Josh, at the beginning, the boxes that you pack contain relevant stuff. I'm in the kitchen. Everything that's in there is kitchen. So it's in the box, right? At the end of the packing, you start having a mishmash of stuff. I know Josh can agree that now it's just like, hey, man, I don't really know. This stuff is just so mismatched and random. It didn't make it into the other box. So now let's just throw it into a box. An array is the box. Doesn't care what it has. Most of the time, it's a box that contains related content. So let's keep that in mind, related content. All right, so I have this array of lists, and I'm going to say, hey, here's a chair, comma, table, maybe I'm moving the furniture in the living room, candle, right? I don't have to add all of them. And so I have this list of things, right? You could also, it could be a random list of things. I could even create a const rand array that's just numbers, strings, booleans, undefined, right? It could contain other empty arrays. It can contain, an object. I'd have to give it key value pairs, but it can contain anything, right? This doesn't make much sense. I can't really get a use case for just randomly throwing shit into an array, but I would say it usually has a relationship. So I'm just going to get rid of that random array. So now that we have an array, we can do type checking. Not something you use very often. I really don't use type checking often, but type checking is just the ability to kind of determine, I'm just going to run this, get rid of that error, determine if something is a particular type. So if I do type of list, I'm going to get, what do you think I get here? Well, I'm just going to write, I get an object. And you're like, all right, but I thought it was an array. It is an array, but it kind of evaluates under the hood to an object. And you know what? So does an object. So using the type of at times to determine the difference between an array and an object doesn't usually work because they both evaluate to the same thing. But if I did type of string of text, I get a string. If I do type of the number 10, I will get the number 10. If I do true, I will get, it's a Boolean. If I do type of undefined, I will get undefined, right? you get the theme here. So we do that. Now, when it comes to like determining an array, we don't use the type of, because once again, it comes back as an object, and so does an object. So if I did type of an object, let me see if this will work. It comes back as object. So if both type of array and type of object both come back as object, only the last one's going to show here. I'd have to console log these, but they both come back as object. That leaves it a little confusing if I'm grabbing things like this. I'm the computer and there's an array and I'm grabbing things. The computer doesn't see the things, so it has to grab it, run something, and then determine the output and then be like, oh yeah, that's what it is, right? Eyes closed, can't tell. Doing it this way won't really do that to determine, distinguish between an array and an object. So what we'd want to do is do array dot is array and then feed it the list, and that should come back as true, right? This is just an evaluation. This is actually anything that returns true or false is called a predicate function. It returns true or it returns false. That its job is to like evaluate and say it's true, evaluate and say it's false. That's a predicate function. Anytime you have this dot associated with something like math, this becomes a method. So dot is array is an array method, right? And I mentioned that a method is a function. And I'm going to say attached to an object. Let's just leave it at that. It's a method. It's a function that's attached to an object. And a method is a function, right? That's, in a nutshell, that's it. We'll see more when we create objects. So we can make another array of like favorite foods. So let's do this. Give you 2 minutes. Create an array of your favorite foods. You know, I'm sure everyone has at least a minimum of 3 favorite foods, and you know, something that's called let's, or here, const, right? Fave foods is equal to, and then add a few things. Add 1 or 2 things. If anybody's feeling like, hey, I want to share my favorite foods, I have the most amazing list of favorite foods. They're completely unique. I bet you no one's going to have my favorite foods. Put it in the Slack channel. Maybe we'll use your favorite foods. Let's make it personal. You don't want to know. I want to get to know you. You're already getting to know me a little bit. Create a list, Slack it out, and I'll pick one of your most amazing list of favorite foods. All right, trash, junk, and garbage. John. Chocolate, ice cream, peanut butter, and pot roast. That's quite the bananas, apples, potatoes, pizza, Italian beef. I like it. I like the chocolate ice cream and peanut butter, man. I like the Ben and Jerry's. They have like the peanut butter core. Oof, that's a solid one. Sushi, chocolate, poke, ramen, and eggs. There we go. I like steak pizza. I'm going to go with, I'm almost looking for something healthy. Okay, not sure. Aaron, AB, peanuts. That looks a bit confusing. Not really sure what. That must have been a mistake, Aaron, right? All right. Looks good. Creme brulee.
Sorry. It was what I had previously copied and pasted.
That's totally fine, man. No worries. All right. How about this? Whose birthday was it? I'm going to use was it Christian's? Whose birthday was it? I can't see everybody, so it was Christian's, right? Awesome. Yeah. I can hear you now. I just can't see. I don't have the grid where I can see everybody. I just have a row at the top. I got to kind of resolve that. All right. Here we go. Christian's, so we're going to use his. I'm going to get rid of that. You are the lucky winner. And now have Pokeball. So let's see what's, I wonder, is there an error here? Fave foods. Oh, you know what? You didn't put the equal sign. Boop, boop. Right? Let me run it again. Oh, no, what is this? Const fave foods, Pokeball. So Kahlua, is it like backticks? Oh, you know, these aren't, maybe when you copied and pasted it, see the little, these ticks right here? you can see the color coding now, right? This is red, and this is like bluish, like turquoise, right? It's because perhaps when you copied and pasted it, it lost. That could probably be the case for most of everyone. So just know that. Don't get trippy on like, oh man, the thing's not working. Like, what happened? Just take a step back. Color coding definitely helps also, right? So knowing the color coding of here. Cool. I have an array of favorite foods. Loving it. And now I'm like, you know what, Kristen, I'm pretty hungry. I also like Kahlua pig. I don't even know what that is. It's a pig on like Hawaii, right? Sure, it's a Hawaiian delicacy.
It's basically you take a whole pig and you cook it in the ground in an imu.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that on TV shows. Cool. That sounds super tasty, man. I like. I'm Spanish and we eat pernil. So they take a pig and they roast it and it gets all crispy.
Yes, yes.
Sweet, right? You know what that's like. Woo! Pernil is awesome. Anyway, Kahlua pig. I want to eat me some Kahlua pig, which means I got to get it out of my favorite foods. Now I'm going to use 0 to get it out. Let's see what happens. I use 0 and I get it out and I see Kahlua pig. Now this is the reason why. Items are referenced in an array based on their position. Now, I made it clear earlier that the things in there are elements. Elements represent the things. The things are at a position. And we reference those positions. Positions start at 0. 0 is ordinal counting. You actually start counting at 0. 0 is kind of like, big thing in JavaScript. You start counting at 0, and it's just for positions. Obviously, 1 plus 0 is still 1. That doesn't change anything. But 0 is how we start counting. So even though this thing has 3 things in the array, we start at position 0, then the next one is 1, then the next one is 2. And that's a big deal because when I mentioned that the length property is something that we kind of use quite often, and the length is always used to kind of get the length of the array, -1, and then I get the last one, right? So we know that favorite foods is going to return, Kahlua pig, fave foods 1. Well, that's going to return, I don't even need the quotes, right? Pokeball, and then fave foods 2, well, that's going to return sushi. Okay? So that's just important to know. You start at 1. That's all. Okay? Now, Ghostbusters, console log the first element array, console log the third element array. So we just kind of did this. I'm using a different array. I decided to kind of go with favorite foods and stay with that. Here they have, Ghostbusters and how to pull or elicit all those values. So if I did use the Ghostbusters example here, I think the rest might use it. If I do that, we see sushi still because nothing, I don't know why it's doing that. If I do Ghostbusters and I console log it, we say, and once again, if we want the first element, right here, get the first element, that's 0. Right? If we want the third element, Ghostbusters, we say 3, but then we just -1, and that would be 2. If I console log that, I'll get stands. Right? Pretty simple so far. The question is, how do we get the last element? Now, you being a human being with eyes and the ability to count can easily see how many elements and be like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -1. The last element must be Ghostbusters, must be 6, right? And I get Tully. Now, I'm the computer and I don't have eyes and I can't count and I can only do what you tell me. We need to do something else. So I need to replace 6 with something else. Now, what I'm going to do is change this to be length. So we can see that length gets me the length of the array. Now I then know that it's 7, right? That's easy enough. Well, if I do length -1, right, then I should get 6, which means if I do this, Ghostbusters, I'm just going to take Ghostbusters here and put the return of this, right? So Ghostbusters.length -1 returns or is evaluated and returns the number 6. And then, that string text gets taken out, the number 6 gets replaced, and then we see the return result, right? That's really all the length is doing. There's not a whole lot of rocket science there with the length there. Gives us array, right? So I think one of the questions here is, an array position. So length gives us the number 7, but there's an element in the Ghostbusters array with index position 7. How do we get the last element of the array? Once again, we kind of got the last element of the array. This isn't getting us the last element. This is getting us a different element. This is getting us the element at position 3. Cool. So we know how to get an element out of the array. That's easy enough. The first element, any number of elements between, and the last element. Those are important. Now, changing elements, right? Changing elements. Okay? So once again, I'm still going to use this. Why not just keep playing with the same one? Actually, we already have fave food, so I'm not going to change it. But say we want to redefine. So we say that fave foods, something at the position. So of all these things, I do like. Kahlua Pig I like. Sushi I love. Poke Bowl I also love. So if I had to jump around here, I'm going to have to say Poke Bowl, although Poke Bowl is my favorite. I'm going to have to say Kahlua Pig's going to have to give in to this because Poke Bowl is pretty kick-ass, especially in New York City. They have amazing Poke Bowl places. So I'm going to say the thing at position 0. Now I'm going to change it to, what do we got here? Let me see. Maybe, I don't know, sour candy. How about that? I'm going to go with Jacob's. Sour candy. I'm going to say sour candy. All right? Done. Now I'm going to fave foods, and let's see what's in the array. Right here. Sour candy, poke bowl, and sushi. So just as easy it is to retrieve a value from an array, it's just as easy to assign a value in an array. Okay? Pretty fairly easy to do that. So it says, let's investigate with the following array numbers. Change the third element in the array to null and console log the array to confirm, and then figure it out. So I'm going to give you, say a few minutes, give you maybe less than 5 minutes to just kind of investigate. I want to get your hands in here. We went through a few things. I'll, put the squid in here. Click squid. When done, squid. Like the whole squid thing. All right. Fine. All right. Give you a few minutes. Just want you to get your hands wet. One squid clicked. Okay, squids are coming. We got a banana. It's going to be shaking it up, Jeremy. Shaking it up.
Hey Joe, my node's not working.
Do you want to share your screen?
says I can't while other participant is sharing.
Oh, yeah. So let me stop sharing. Go ahead. Okay. So we got const numbers. Const number 2 is equal to null. And then what does
Oh,
it
yeah,
do?
that. But when I hit node, oh my god.
Oh, you know why? Because look at line 8 and 9. You define const numbers, and then you are trying to call number. Here we go. Give that bad boy a shot. Did you save it? No, you didn't save it. Did you? Yeah. See how the little circle in the top of the files is a blue dot?
Uh-huh.
Your blue dot just disappeared. So now if you run it, there you
Hey,
go.
Yahtzee. All right, thank you.
Sweet. No problem, man. All right. We are, let me just take a look. See, we're at 18. Looking good. Looking good, people. Go back. Going to share. Share. Okay. Awesome. So we're at 22, 23, 24. I think we're right there. Cool. So change the third element of the array. So if I take this array of numbers, right? Boop. And then we say, hey, the third number. So numbers, right? That variable, important that we re-reference it. The third element, which is the number 5, which is at position 2, right? So if I was to create some sort of like ghost of this to contain just the array positions, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, right? So this would be, if I kind of move this over, this would represent the positions of those elements, right? Just trying to make it look as intuitive. Maybe I put too many in there. No, I did it. All right, right? So those represent the positions of the elements. So if you want the number 5, then I got to do 2, and that's going to equal, and I could do null. You did null as a string. I'm going to do null as the actual null, right? I mean, here's null versus null as a string, right? This is null as a string of text, and null as a string of text isn't the same as null itself. You can see the color coding. One's a string, one's actually null, meaning it does. And you use null when you want to create variables and not give them a value yet. Just kind of want to create this placeholder and be like, you're nothing just yet. I want to indicate that you're nothing. So change the first element. So change the third element of array to null, console log, right? Boom, we got it. Change the first element to the array to equal itself times 10 using the compound operator. Oof, what? Like that happens all the time, right? So the first element in the array is equal to itself. All right, well, then it's equal to numbers 0 times equals, what is it? Times 10, right? I'm going to guess that's it, right? Oof. Let me see. I don't do that often. There we go, 210. Is that the correct number? I'm going to say yes. Right? Why wouldn't nums work for this purpose? So this question here, does anyone have the answer to this? Why wouldn't nums 0 times 10 work for this purpose?
Probably because it's going to be looking for a position 10 to multiply by a position 10 array versus the number 10, I would think.
Okay, I like that. Anyone have, any other? I'm going to take a look and let's see what 0 times 10 does. It returns the first element. Huh. And the answer is this: 0 times 10 is 0. Yeah. So if it evaluates to 0, then it returns the first element in the array. Right? So anything times 0 is going to be 0. You'll always get the first element. If I did, 1 times 10, that's 11. Right? No, 1 times 10 is 10. There's not a 10th thing in the array, and then I get undefined. So just know also, because it's important, sometimes you're looking for something at a position, and maybe there's no things there at that position. Maybe you took so many things out that you don't have something there. If that's the case, then an array that does not have an element at that position will return back undefined. Okay? That's important because you might have to use that at some point in time. Okay? So here, once again, using expressions, not something it's a common practice, right? We're just kind of demonstrating it. 2 times 2, that's 4. That means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We get magnifying glass. Easy enough, right? List length divided by 2. This may be a problem here, right? So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say, numbers.length. Let's just make sure numbers.length is 7 right now, right? Because that's numbers. And if I was like, you know what? I want the item at numbers.length divided by 2. I want that. I'm going to get undefined. And why is that? 7 divided by 2 is
3.5.
3.5. Is there a position 3.5? Absolutely not. We can't do that. What we could do, if we knew that we wanted to divide it, we'd have to make the decision where we want either the position before 3.5, which is 3, round down, round up, right? So math.floor, math.ceil, or in this instance, if we just use round, it would take us up anyway, right? So I could say something like, if we did do this, I could say something like, hey, I want math.floor, right? Because I think we saw ceil already. We saw round. If I did this, then I would get 3. If I did math.ceil, I'm just going to do this. If I say, hey, give me math.ceil, that would give me the number 2. I'm moving up in the array, right? Okay. Once again, we know how to get the last one. That's easy enough, right? Getting mathy with arrays, right? So we kind of went through the array. I think we just kind of did this, right? Using ceil. Round I didn't use. So if I went back here and I was like, all right, well, what if I do round, right? Well, round is going to go in which direction? Up or down? What's that? All right. We get 2. Round rounds up. If it's 3.5, it rounds up. If it's anything less than 5, then it'll round down. Okay? So we kind of use the mathy methods to do that. This is actually good. I use math.floor when I'm trying to loop over an array, but not the whole array. I want to split the array in half. And it's usually something where you do like is palindrome, where I compare the first letter in the array with the last letter in the array. And then I keep doing that, right? Because if it's a palindrome and I'm comparing letters, if I can compare the first to the last and the second from the first to the second from the last, then I don't need to go through the whole array. I don't have to literally loop and touch every element. I can loop half the time and still touch every element. It's just a technique. Okay. And now the looping constructs for the arrays, right? So when we loop over an array, we have this for. We can use the for where we didn't yet enter the world of looping constructs for arrays. So we're going to kind of stick with our for loops for now. For loops are something called, just as a side note, for loops are declarative, imperative. Imperative. I don't know. I'm really bad with math. Imperative. Imperativi? I don't know. Imperative. Imperative programming is when you define every step of the way versus declarative programming. Okay? So this is imperative. We have to tell it, hey, this is your starting point. This is where you're going. And this is going to be how we get there. So I'm going to say I less than, did we define kitchen sink? I don't think there's a kitchen sink here. Oh, kitchen sink right here, right? Let me just get this. I don't want us to loop over something and then have no idea what the hell it is we're looping over. So I is less than kitchen sink dot length I plus equals 1, right? I plus equals 1. I'm just trying to do best kind of practices here. Plus equals 1, and then we're going to say, console.log. If I console log, we'll see everything in the console. I'll just say kitchen. We don't need everything. Kitchen, sink, I. Right? Boom. We get everything that's in there. Correct? Went to the length. We started 0. We got dirty spoon, SpongeBob. We get all the way up to water. And then we get, we stop at water. Okay? Now, what if I said, I is greater than or equal to array.length minus 1? That's the other way to do it. Same thing. Once again, we pointed that out. I think, Jeremy, did you point out that earlier? I thought you might have pointed that out earlier. And I said, sometimes you can do that. That's just more typing, right? If I really want to do more typing, that does the same thing. I want to get there just as quick. And so we have the output, right? It's my kitchen sink. What if we only want to print every other element in the array? Well, then they're doing plus equals 2. So instead of plus equals 1, we do plus equals 2. We know that the number is incrementing, and we're only going to print every other element, right? This is how we initialize it. This is where we're going, like when we stop, and this is how we get there, and we're just jumping by 2. Okay? So we got this. Let's investigate with the following. Dr. Seuss. Okay, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to work with this. Just give you a few minutes to work with that. Okay? Console log all the elements in the array, console log the odd numbered index items in the array, and console log the index number and the item of every odd numbered index item. But it's like, what? Well, I'm here. I mean, if you have any questions about it, let me know. But I want to give everyone the opportunity. I'm going to get their hands down. I'm going to put here. Click the squid when you're done.
Can you please paste this array in the Slack?
Oh, this particular one?
Yeah, that array, given array.
Oh, this array right here, Dr. Seuss?
Dr. Seuss, yeah.
Sure, yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
Dr. Seuss, the great Dr. Seuss. Don't forget, to click on the squid when you're done. Okay, we're getting close. I didn't even know Jojo McDowd was a book by Dr. Seuss. Anyone ever read that book? Cat in the Hat, right? Green Eggs and Ham, Grinch, thing one, thing two. Never heard of Cindy Lou Who. Jojo McDowd. It's like a catchy name. Sounds like a cool dude. I think you're going to go hang out and grab a beer with Jojo McDowd tonight. I feel like I'm headed down to the Irish pub to meet Jojo McDowd. All right, 22. We're getting there. Hey, what? Why don't we jump in? I know we're running short on time, so let's kind of go through this right here, right? So console log all the elements in the array, right? So here we go. It's easy enough, right? Oh, don't want to. That's my console log. All the elements in the array. Once again, easy enough. Console log the odd numbered elements in the array. Did I not do that? I thought I had the odd numbered elements here. I'm just going to copy paste. We'll get the odd numbered elements, right? You know what? Here we go. I'm just going to get rid of this because I did the odd numbers here and I did the index. So since I combined them in two, there's no reason to do it all. I think that's why. So here we have, once again, the same looping construct, right? At this point in time, it's good to keep writing the loops. And that's part of these exercises so that you don't forget how to write the loops. Any errors now will be avoided later. So in here, I'm using the modulus to get the odd numbers, right? Because, I don't know, is 0 odd or even? I don't really know. Is it? Is that odd or even? I don't know, right? It's a great mystery of math, right? Figure that one out. So I'm going to say when I start counting at 1, and that's odd, and 2 is even, and 0 is neutral. So if that's the case, I don't want to return back 0. I don't want to return back Cat in the Hat because that's at position 0. I want to return Green Eggs and Ham because that's at position 1, and that is odd. So we're using this modulus operator, right? And I'm saying, hey, if I divided by 2 is not equal to 0, because if it was equal to 0, then it would be even. So I want odds. So I say it's not equal to 0, which means it returns something, right? If it returns something, I have a value, and boom, I see it. So here I return Green Eggs and Ham, thing 1, and Cindy Lou Who, and then I also console logged out their positions, 1, 3, and 5, right? Anyone get anything different? Going to assume no. Sweet. So we just did this kind of using conditionals, right? I used the conditional here to figure it out. If we wanted the even number items, boom, we'd use I modulus 2 is equal to 0. That's how we would get even numbered items. Really kind of easy enough. Here we're doing where we're trying to get either if I is equal to 5, or I modulus 2 is equal to 0. So really what we're getting is elements that are even, right? Or the fifth element, correct? This is the or. And so every time the thing gets evaluated, it's going to say, are you even or are you odd? Or are you at the fifth position? If you're at the fifth position, boom, let's go with it. This goes true. This never gets evaluated. If you're not at the fifth position, which is going to be the majority of the time, because there's only one thing that's at the fifth position, or I is only going to equal 5 once, then this gets evaluated every other time. Once again, if we kind of run this, we would see the results. Not a big proponent of like just copying and pasting code, but I know how to write the for loops. And so we have here pizza, seaweed, right? Pizza, seaweed, tea, ice cream. Ice cream comes right after tea. They're together. So that's the position number 5, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But it's at position 5. We start at 0, and this is at the number 5. I is 5. And then we get sushi, the one right after it. Okay? We use the modulus or we use the modulus and an or. Okay, cool. And then same thing here, right? By modulus, if you're even, and I modulus 3 is equal to 0. Oh, that's a pretty unique one. Why don't we take a look at this one? Let's see what we get here. This should be an interesting. Let's see what we're going to get. All right, we get pizza and sushi, right? So pizza's the first one. And where is sushi's right here? Second to the last one, right? So if you are even, right? If I modulus 2 is even and I divided by modulus 3 returns back nothing, right? So obviously pizza's a given, right? It's 0 for both of those. And then you get to sushi. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got 2 numbers that do this. This kind of construct here where you're doing this is useful when you're doing FizzBuzz. Anyone here a FizzBuzz? Show me your hands. Here a FizzBuzz? The FizzBuzz algorithm, it's kind of like a standard algorithm. If the number is divided by 3 or the number is divided by 5, and if the number is divided by both of them, right? This is similar to that, except we're doing, if it's divided by 2 and 3, then we got 6. So that's kind of easy enough, right? Let's just see how much more we got here. All right, so investigate, console log the even numbers in the array, console log the even numbers in the items in the array using sticks. All right, I'm going to kind of pass on the investigate right now. I'm going to keep jumping in here. I want to get to this research methods, okay? So let's make an array together called favorite movies. We'll put an array of favorite movies. So I'm going to do this. Let's, I'll get rid of all this, right? Let fav movies, right, is equal to this. So why don't you slack out like a favorite movie? And I'll just start adding some favorite movies here. Hit me up with a favorite movie. All right, what do we got? Inception, right? Oh, yeah. Inception, that was a crazy movie. Titanic, okay, that's a classic. Titanic's a classic. Titanic, all right. What do you got? I'm just kind of reading through them. Blade Runner, Iron Man. Iron Man. Sweet. Iron Man. There we go. We go to Avengers. Right? Don't feel bad if I excluded you. I just have a lot to type, and everyone's like banging them out. So, Superbad was pretty funny. I got to be honest. That was pretty funny. All right, let's go with this. Didn't get everyone's. Don't take it personal. All right, so I got double quotes here, double single quotes. Get rid of that. Where's the? Oh, I need at least one single quote there. Boom. Right? We saw the errors. I'm gonna make sure that there is another error. So let me take a look here. Right? It says unexpected end of input. So I have this, right? Just looking through, making sure. Here's Titanic. Here's Iron Man. Here's Avengers. Here's Superbad. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't comment out this beginning of the for loop, and so it's breaking my code. It's breaking all my code. So there we go. I'm going to do fave movies. So we see fave movies, fun fave movies. There we go. Exception. Cool. So we'll share the Slack. So let's do this. I'm going to put everyone's movie in there. We'll share the array in Slack and break out into Soap's movies for about 10 minutes. All right. So let's do this. 540. I just want to see what we got because there is the lab that I got to get you guys before. I'm going to do this. I think I might have to hold off on that too. I want to do this, but I really want to just let me bang out the rest of it. And let's just see if we have time. I think we will. Multi-dimensional arrays. Multi-dimensional arrays. Yeah, I think we are going to have time, but I just want to make sure we get through this and we'll jump back. So multi-dimensional arrays. If I want to get the first array, well, if I want to get the first element in this array, I use 0. That's going to return back an array, right? If I want to get the first thing out of that array, I do another bracket. Boom, I get the first element. So just know that this thing right here returns an array. And because it returns an array, we can append another kind of bracket to it to get back the other element. If I wanted the first element in that nested array, I just do a 1. Okay, so we can get back arrays. Fairly easy process. I mean, later on when we get to pulling APIs, you're going to see that APIs store data as arrays that have objects, that have arrays as values, that have arrays as values, that have objects. It can get kind of convoluted. This structure right here, not too crazy. It's not a crazy process right here. Okay, so let's do this. I think we can do this. I'm going to break it out into, we need to do this because we're at 5:15 and we still have the lab. So you know what? I'm going to have to hold off on this. Hold off on these methods. We can maybe do them as a morning exercise. I'm going to hit the lab. Let's hit the lab. You really got to start working on some stuff here. Student labs, afternoon lab, right? So we have the lab, and you're going to get some homework. Got a lot of stuff to do here. All right. Here is the lab. I'm going to make sure. Oh, see that? Once again, Stanley. Bad Joe. Bad Joe. That's where I was getting it from. Here we go. Here's the other one. DeVito. Oof. Glad I didn't do that again. I know I'm making a mistake once or twice, but making it 3 times, that bad's on me. All right. Here we go. So here's the afternoon lab. Okay, we're going to go into breakout rooms. So I'm going to hit this and do the breakout rooms. More control. Breakout rooms. Okay. Recreate the breakout rooms. I think we had 10 breakout rooms. Recreate all the breakout rooms. Boop. So we're recreating the breakout rooms. Awesome. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. We have 2. Cool. I'm going to assign the breakout rooms. We're going to give till about, I'm going to say maybe 5:50 or so. And then Jarek is going to assign the homework for the evening. Okay. If you have any questions during the lab, just kind of post it into the Slack channel and we'll try to respond as quickly as possible. Okay. We're all good? Feeling good? For the raise? Once again, I'll just hit you up. I like this whole remote thing, man. I got to be honest. You guys got it made. All my students that had to come into the city. About arrays. All right, here we go. Just posted another. And arrays are something you're going to work with from like now till forever as a web developer. So, okay. All right, Dad, it'll clear up. Promise. Things will clear up in time. Just a little bit more practice, and you'll get it. 13, 14, 15, 16. So it looks like we got 16. It doesn't seem like everyone decided to chime in. All right. Sweet. So hit the lab. Here's the breakout rooms. I'm going to open the rooms. Ready, set, go. Join your rooms. Here we go.
right, you can leave now if you need to.
Okay, yeah.
Just give me host first before you go.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'm only going to be able to, I'm going to jump on the 540 train now.
All right.
This one's already gone, probably. All right, let me get you. Get you participants, right? Oh, here we go. Make host. All right. Okay, made you host. But you're saying that we can do this co-hosting thing, though, right?
Yeah, I set it up in the classroom Zoom, but you opened up your own Zoom, right, for this link?
Yeah, I have my own personal Zoom, and then I had a GA Zoom account, but the GA doesn't allow me to do breakout rooms. So I reached out to Meredith to ask her if I could do, if they can elevate my permissions.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you use the Zoom room that I always post, because we use the same classroom link over and over again, if you use that one, it allows co-hosting.
Oh, serious? So the same link?
Yeah,
that you post every class, that's the same link? Serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, really? Awesome. Well, and it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Oh, so whatever you post in the morning anyway, you're going to go over the morning exercise anyway tomorrow, right?
Yeah, the morning exercise tomorrow is just an HTML and CSS thing, though. So if you want to go over those array methods with them in the morning exercise, that's totally fine. Because the morning exercise they have is 2 days. It's split into 2 days, so there's plenty of time.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll go over to them in the morning.
Okay, cool. So you're going to start in the morning and then, okay.
I'll take it over in the morning and I'll do the array methods, the additional array methods.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Cool. So I'm going to then jump off and just kind of get my shit together so I can get out of here.
Yeah. All right,
I'll
cool.
post the videos later. They have to compile and on my machine.
Yeah.
I'll post them later.
Okay. All right. See you tomorrow then.
Okay. Ciao.